Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Small Business Show. My name is Swire Ho, your host for the show. Joining me today is John Overom from Exit Consulting Group. John is the president of Exit Consulting Group, which provides consulting and brokerage services for business owners to prepare for an exit eventually. He is the author of Exit and AMP, Answer, Navigate Your Business Exit Like an Expert. John is a specialist in creating roadmap for business owners anticipating a transition, whether it's transferring the business to a family or employees or selling it to a third party. Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
I think talking to you as a business owner will be the ultimate success for a lot of us, right? You've made it, you are ready to exit. For listener who might not yet be familiar with your work, what should we know about you and Exit Consulting Group?
I would say that I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm just like all the rest of our clients. So this is more than just a job. This is what I believe in, trying to help other business owners to experience what I have already gone through and found it to be a challenging process. And so it's really a passion to help other entrepreneurs and business owners to be able to make the decisions so they don't have regrets like I had or have and seen other people with. So it's more about just supporting each other in an entrepreneurial business world. And I just happen to have an individual skill set, but we're all the same people going through the same process, going through the same thought. So all of my ideas are my problems too. All my suggestions I'm supposed to do as well. So I want to be clear here. My definition of success is it's easier to be a coach than a player sometimes.
If you have no regrets in life, I think that you haven't tried anything at all.
Right. Correct. Yeah. I mean, my biggest regret would be if I don't get up every time I get knocked down. That's my regret.
Yeah.
So I just keep getting up and keep learning and keep going.
I like your mindset. John, I think you will be the perfect person to answer the question. And I've been watching a lot of business news, and sometimes it's very depressing, right? Watching business news every day. And it seems like everyone is talking about the economy is going to a downturn. And obviously, I've seen news for even big corporations laying out 30% of their workforce. What do you think the market is like from interaction with client? Are people more willing to sell, want to get out while they can, or people like having second thoughts about it?
So that's really, it's a really great question. I would say for those business owners that are actually planning ahead and thinking ahead and saying, I don't think I want to get out yet, but I'd like to start planning my exit and how do I maximize my value, then they're not getting out right now because the market has changed. It absolutely has changed in the last 6 to 9 months. I would say we have gone through the highs and lows. There was this big R word about a recession. This was in, end of last year in the fall, and people aren't, in the small business world, they're not using that terminology. There are some sectors, like everything, there are hits, but for the most part, most of the business owners are struggling not with the demand, but the supply side. They're still struggling on getting people or process or product. There are people wanting to buy things from them. It's just trying to get it done at a price and in a time that the clients are willing to do. So for most of the business owners, the challenge isn't the recession of, hey, it's inflation. That's their problem. Inflation is what's really struggling with the business owners. But what we're seeing on the buyer side is just the money's costing a lot more money. So all of the ways that you're buying things, you're buying a mortgage, whether it's an SBA or you're going out and getting any conventional debt finance or mezzanine or any other kind of debt. So all of that pricing has doubled in cost. So interest rates are going from 3 to 4 to 6 to 8. Your lines of credit for equipment, everything has gone up. So as a general, there's a little bit more, it's not that people believe we're going to get up to 12 to 15% interest. It's just how we don't believe we're going to get down to 3 to 4 again. So now we got to recalibrate everything. So the question is 6 to 7 the right number, or is it 9 to 10? And we don't know. So the issue really comes around with that unknown about financing. People don't want to lock into bigger stuff because they just don't know how much it's going to cost them. So buyers are just on hold, the bigger buyers, particularly institutional buyers. Mom and pops, what's funny, mom and pops right now is taken off because you're getting all these people laid off. And what we saw in 2008 through 2010, A lot of people got laid off, but then everyone said, "Hey, I want to be an owner. I don't want to work for the man." So they want to, so a lot of mom and pop businesses, a lot of activity with this tech and some of these sell-offs, some of these middle managers are like, "Hey, I think I'm ready to go try something." So on the low end side, still seeing a lot of activity, which I'm saying 1.5 million kind of SBA kind of qualified half, stuff. You get up to the 10s and 20s and 30 millions. That's where you got to get into some different kind of financing options. There's still strategic buyers because it's hard to find good people. And so it's easier to acquire a good person and a good team, than it is to try to create it yourself because there's more need out there. So we're seeing it slow for sure. But again, I always think that there's an opportunity for people to get out because people always want to get out. People's lives change and people want to get out. So there's always things for sale.
Yeah, there's a lot of good point in there. Obviously, the cost of finances is going up because of all the interest rate. But you're right, John. Maybe people got laid off and they were in a good position to be in. They wanted to be their own boss right now. So, like the lower end business, they could actually pay cash. Or I've seen multiple programs from the city, from the county, from the state, even to offer incentive, right, for people to start a business. Or if you are women-owned business, for example, I know that the city has a program that when you start a micro business, where they call it, they actually give you cash. So
Sure.
those are
And
still on,
And you
right?
also have the seller financing side as well, right? Sometimes you got to shorten the gap up by a little seller. So the bank will get a little finance, the owner will put some financing, the buyer will, and the seller will in order to make a deal. And so deals are definitely being had. Just got to get a little more creative on the finance side.
Mhm. I think you mentioned this, but I wanted to ask you more question about planning our exit. So
Sure.
is it like, I want to use the word when you sell stock, when it goes up to the high and you sell it? And also, should we window dress? How would you advise us to plan for exits?
So there's 3 parts of planning for your exit. So if you're going to go to Vegas, you're going to pull the slot machine down. You got 3 little dollar signs, right? The first one is, when is the owner ready? Because, owner readiness is super important, because if you're not ready to figure out and walk away, it's never going to happen. Number 2 is the business ready? How's the revenue doing? How's your profit going? How's your equipment, your people, your process? Number 3 is market. Is there anybody actually interested in your market? Are you selling newspapers right now? Because, are you selling banks right now? There's a few different industries, right? Where, you might not be top. If you're selling cybersecurity all day long, right? So you have to look at the market, but you also have to look, is the business ready? And then you have to look when the owner. If you can get all 3 of those trifecta lined up when you're designing that out, that's perfect. The challenge is most business owners wait till they're ready and they haven't done anything about their business and they're not even watching the market. They just kind of go, I'm turning 65, I'm done, or I'm just tired, or and they haven't even looked at all the other elements of the market or their business. And that's where the planning usually falls short.
Do you think every business is sellable? Is it even the right word? Or, there are, like you mentioned, if you're in a harder sector, there are obviously more buyers. If you're in a really obscure niche business, you might have to find the perfect buyer or someone who understands it. Like, are there more sellable people that you have encountered?
So let's define an exit, okay? Because you're defining an exit as a sale. Okay, I won't define an exit as a sale. I would say somebody liquidating their business is a good exit. They kick their receivables, they take out their cash, they wind this thing down. It's just a simple solution for them. They might be a law practice, they might be a financial, they might do something where, just for a simplicity perspective, they've put enough money away. It's been a lifestyle for them. They're just going to shut it down. That is still a good exit because they got out of the business. Handing it to their kid might not be a liquidity event, but the idea of a legacy is of value to them. So that is another exit. So there are different exits that don't require financial liquidity event. You could step out as an owner and say, I am no longer an owner, but I'm going to stay in as an employee. You can step out as an employee, hire somebody to run it, and you just be the owner. So the definition of exit is, do I exit my job or am I exiting my ownership of the company? And then of those things, how do I do it? Am I going to get a liquidity event out of it? And measuring that success is individual based, because some people perceive that if they get money at the end, it was a successful exit. That is not a definition. My definition of a successful exit is that the entity that you built and you created or you are running either survives or winds down, but you didn't leave it to your wife, your widow, your children, or the state to deal with. Because I don't care if you die at your desk. I've had an owner say, well, I don't need an exit because my exit is to die at my desk. I said, well, that's a great exit. I agree with you putting it in a box. All I ask you is get $1 million life insurance policy. So it goes to the business. So your wife, your widow, and the children don't have to deal with everything you're not going to. There's enough money there that they can hire someone to wind the whole thing down because your widow and your children do not want to deal with your problems that you're unwilling to do. So exit in a flame for all I care. Just don't do it in a way that it puts burden on everybody else. So yeah, to me, that's a positive exit.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good concept. Like you don't want to deal with your mess. Someone else might have to after you're gone.
That's the only part of the exit that I'm trying to consult on is you are the best as the business owner, best qualified to find an exit. Whether you do it before you leave or after you leave, I don't care. I don't care if you do it in 5 years or 10 years or 2. Just have a plan in place. I had an 82-year-old who just came in.
Wow.
And he said, I think I'm ready to start thinking about my exit. Still got a bunch of good years left. I think I should. I'm like, okay, I think at 82, you probably should too. But he, in his mind, he's like, I got 15 good years in front of me. And I'm like, God bless you, buddy. I love your entrepreneurial spirit. And for him, that was when he thinks he's about ready.
Okay. So how would one begin really think about, I want to exit and I want to talk to an expert like you, John,
sure,
and to plan for my exit? Like usually how long, or it depends on the business, right? For a business to be ready, or for the owner himself or herself to be ready.
We always start off with their business. Your business is a child. Mm-hmm. And you're a helicopter parent, right? So either you're still a child and you're owner operated and you do everything and you're the person, or you a helicopter parent and you control absolutely everything. And you've got that 30-year-old in your basement, drinking all the soda because you never own that, or you've raised them in to go to college, get on their own and go up and grow up and be on their own. And then they can go marry someone else and make lots of money, right? So in the world of how I would ask an owner is what is your business? Is this just something where it's just a lifestyle? You want to ride this thing out and then you want to shut it down? Do you want to raise this child? And do you want to bring it up and introduce them to either other partners, other family members, key employees to start running it? Because that's a different strategy. Or do you actually want someone to professionally run it and scale this thing out and have a decent liquidity event? All of those are good options. None of them are right or wrong. But the idea is the business, so many people's businesses are about themselves. The value is in them and they have to extract themselves. And that is a very challenging piece because they question relevance. What am I going to do next? This is all I've done. I'm trying to get Brett Favre to get off the field, or I'm trying to get Tom Brady off the field. How many more awards does Tom Brady need to have to define success? His success is an internal driven process. Entrepreneurs have that same thing. Like, I just want more. More is better. And so the idea of getting them to let go and move on when they don't have anything else to do is our biggest gap in getting out of the business. Our number one competitor in selling people's companies is the owner.
Yeah, Tom Brady should consult you for, exit.
Yeah. They just won't sell. They'll say, oh, it's price, it's time, it's whatever, it's this. But in reality, they're not ready to walk away. They don't know what else they could do.
But I think sometimes it is, right? Especially the owner is very successful. He's known at the figure for the company. So for them to walk away or even to get a partner, right? Maybe a firm want to get in to make it even bigger, then they can let control. And I like all the question that you will be asking a potential client, John, but depending on how they answer, I'm sure that you could guide them to the way that's best for them. Maybe people really, I just want to be done and go and don't lose any money. That's the main
reason we formed the company. Was I always felt that as a business owner, I talked to a broker and they want to sell it. And if I
Mhm.
wasn't willing to sell it, they didn't want to talk to me. And I didn't, and I didn't have any other options. Financial planners want to sell me product,
Right.
right? CPAs just want to tell me tax. I just want to know my choices. And so we are basically called exit consulting because we're exit agnostic. We don't care what you do. We just want you to know that there are a lot more choices than to sell it or die. And you have a lot of choices in between, and it's your destiny on how you want to control it. And our job is to help educate them all their different choices.
Okay.
That's the passion of what we're doing.
Yeah, I like that. Like all the question, like I'm sure that a lot of owner before they talk to you, they haven't thought about none of those, right?
Yeah,
They just work every day. Like even if you ask them, what would you like to do after? Let's assume you get $10 million, right? What would you do with the $10 million? I don't really know. Like if I'm not working, not sure what I'm going to do. And actually, a lot of people when they retire and they work their whole life, they pass away really quickly.
yeah. There are definitely buyers who think that selling is dying, right? Is definitely associated. And business owners, and I am one of those too. So I have to be honest. I just thought selling my business would be like selling a car or selling my house. It's just an
Mhm.
asset, right?
Yeah.
Like just sell it. It's not even close because it's made up of people, and it's made up of customers, and it's made up of vendors, and it's made up of suppliers and employees. It is not made up of a widget that you sit there and point at it and go, that's my house, and it doesn't move. Every day from a macroeconomics to a microeconomics, our lives are changing in business.
Yeah, sometimes emotional we emotionally attach to a business too. Like it's a small thing for another person, but we really do want to hang on to it forever.
I would say being a CEO is very lonely. And there are some lonely days and lonely nights where you're sitting around going, why? And you have to pick yourself up, or
Mhm.
you have to, I just remember sitting in my closet and with my head down, getting ready for the morning. My wife came by and said, what is going on? I said, I'm just trying to get ready for the day. I'm tired, but I can't walk in tired. I have to get my game on. So I just need a moment and then I'm ready to go. And the reality of it is you get tired of that
Mhm.
sometimes. And it's a tough place to be as the CEO, but ultimately there's a lot of ego and a lot of pride and a lot of enjoyment on having your name on the building or seeing the people work for you or seeing your product out there or seeing something. That's what drives us entrepreneurs. That's it.
Yeah, having the right mindset really is very important. Like you said in that example, what the day hasn't started yet, but how you approach your day will actually affect it. If you go in really happy and energetic and you motivate people, then you have a good day. If you go in, like you're, in the closet and really sad going in, and then you kind of drag people into it. So like nothing changed in reality, but what you have in your mind kind of affected.
And you have to be able to do that yourself. I mean, it's nice to have partners because it's always better to work out with somebody in the gym because some days you
Mhm.
don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But still, we still got to get up every day. We still got to walk into the cage fight, and we still have to game on. And so, for me, I love that. But there's definitely times where it's challenging to get the business owners to get out of the game fight and think about what happens after the game. It's fine driving on the freeway in the left-hand lane, ripping at 80 miles an hour, but at some point you're going to move over to the lane and you're going to need to turn off. And are you just going to turn off and get gas? Are you going to turn off to go down a road that you're never going to go back on that freeway? And what does that look like? Where are we driving to? Are we just on the freeway to drive business and more is better? Or what is the goal of what are we trying to do is the challenge in the game of exit, because people believe an exit is like you're done. For me,
Mhm.
it's not. An exit is not done. An exit is just a path. I just at least know what I'm trying to shoot for. I want $10 million in after tax cash. Why? I don't know, because you told me to come up with an exit. Okay.
It's a
Well,
round
how are
number.
you
It
going
sounds
to?
nice.
Yeah, because I mean, shoot, I got to shoot for something. Am I there? No. Am I going to get there? I don't. I mean, I have to make choices along the way, and no, because I'm not willing to make those choices, so I got to amend. But for me, an exit is the ability to find a path that the company survives without me. That's my
Mm.
definition of a personal success. I want the company to succeed without me in it. That's a
Mm.
good exit.
So, what would you say is the biggest challenge in an exit?
For sure, it's the owner's sense of value and the owner's involvement. The biggest discount on the purchase price is the owner's involvement. and that everyone reports to them. They have no middle managers. They've got 40 years of experience. They have every relationship, and they go, well, I don't really do much. And in reality, I would have to hire 2 or 3 people to replace them because they're that valuable. And the people and the clients and the vendors would leave. Like they go, yeah, I'm in a month-to-month lease, but I've known that landlord for 40 years. I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't. How's this business going to survive? So they run it very much owner operated, and it's around them. Their names on the building, their names on their trucks. They truly, their whole business family relationship is around the company. And so they don't know what they're going to do next. And so for sure, the biggest challenge is owner readiness. We can get the business ready all day long. We can get the market and tell you how the market's going to do. What we can't do is how much you willing to sell it for and how much you willing to walk away for. And what are you going to do with your life after you leave? They don't know. They don't answer. They don't ask that question. What are you going to do next?
Yeah, not even for small business, right? If you think about Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, like no one can really replace him. Like you have 100 people, right? The best in the world, like you still won't repay him. So I think he is, I think he is in his own game now, and he's over 90, I think now. Like, so that not only for small business, like big mega businesses, have that same mentality too. So how would you say, like, should we then, groom someone to do what we do, or do we find like 5 more assistants just to set us up ready for the ultimate exits?
So I would say it depends on your personality. For me, I'm trying to set up exit consulting so it can survive without me, and I'm in professional services. So I am building a team around me, and I am trying to train and coach and teach everything that goes in my head. I will tell you, it is the most exhausting part of my day. I love helping clients. I love making business owners be more successful. That's my passion. But how to think and how they should think is just, I'm not a real good coach. I'm not a really good man. And most business owners, entrepreneurs, are horrible managers. They're not. They're cowboys. They're just driving cowboys. They don't follow rules. They say rules are good for everyone but me. And we can't end up running this like a professional business. And for sure, the biggest challenge I've had personally is the professionalism around that has to come around a company when it's not around an individual. And you have to have SOPs and processes and templates. And I would just go in and change everything all the time. I don't like that. I'll do this. And they're like, you can't. I go, yeah, but this is, and they're like, no, you can't do that, John, because when you're not here, then who's going to, and I said, well, I guess that makes sense. So it is challenging to set the company up to be a professionally run company if you are an owner operator like me. But that's what I love to do. There are also owner operators that just don't ever want to let go of control. For them, they just want to have control. And when they're ready to go, they've set up enough money, and that's fine. If they can take enough money out the whole way and then just sell it for a little bit, that's their win. They loved their job. But
and then there are people who do like 10 businesses and they sell within a year. There are people who do that too.
Yeah. And then you've got the guys that have actually understand this is just a business. It's nothing about me. And I want to make this business and flip it and sell it. Absolutely.
So do you have like a questionnaire to rank the owner, like if they're ready? Like, you mentioned there's owner readiness. So obviously there are people who are more ready or their mindset, right? I just wanted to be done with, or someone just, in the beginning process. So how would you measure the owner readiness?
So we do it in the biggest 2 buckets of owner readiness. Owner readiness is financially. Do they actually understand how much money they need to live on in perpetuity? Because when you sell someone, I want to sell my company, and we go, great. Yeah, I need $5 million. And I go, great. Is that pre-tax or post-tax? And they go, oh. I go, well, there's a 40% haircut on the tax with California. So that wouldn't, they're like, okay, then, post-tax. And I go, well, I mean, you can make that up, but they don't even, there is no process. And I said, how do you, and this is one of our biggest challenge with widows, is if you haven't planned your exit and we get called by the widow or by an estate planner and saying, hey,
Mhm.
husband passed away, they didn't do any planning, and they've been pulling 500 grand out of it through a couple hundred in salary, and then they write off cars and cell phones and all the different stuff. And we sit around and say, okay, but we have to replace your owner with the CEO. It's going to cost you. And then, but we could, she says, sell the company. And I said, great. If you sell the company, you pay taxes, and then you put it into something that's going to make you 4%. And all the things that you guys were running through pre-tax is now have to be done with post-tax. They're like, well, I can't live off that. And I said, well, if you have no idea that you have enough money to survive outside the business, that's our number one. Some people do, but a lot of people just haven't thought about what's it going to be, because I've always just had a company to run things through. Right.
Yeah.
So that's our number one for sure.
So when is there a certain thing as the best time to reach out to you? Or is it like the beginning process, or am I think that I'm ready? Or, like when would be a really good time to talk to a professional like yourself?
Well, I'm going to be sarcastic and I'm going to say the sooner the better. I would say anytime, but I will say, generally speaking, I wrote a book called Exit Answers, right? Because I thought I would help people get their answers ahead of time and they could plan. What I learned is business owners don't plan. They pretty much go, okay, I'm done, or maybe I'm a year out. Okay. So usually, and I will say plus 90% of our time, people are calling us saying, I'm ready. I want to sell in the next year. Mm-hmm. We can't really do much to change your model, your financial model, or your business model, or hire the right people and change your customer concentration, or fix the way you do your financial reporting and sell. The selling process usually takes about a year. So if you want to get out, usually it takes a year, and then it'll take probably a year that you have to stay in the business. So you're 2 years out from the day that you say, even if you're all ready to go. So our dream is 2 to 3 years ahead, because then we can figure out what the value is, make sure it's what they're aligned with, fix their financial planning goals, work with their CPA, get their books cleaned up, look at their customer content, and really manage to the right process, and then take it to market. So for us, 3 years, 2 to 3 years is 5 would be a dream. It would be like, oh, well, we love you. The unicorns exist. You want to plan 5 years ahead. That is awesome, but that's not realistic in the world that I live in.
Well, I do think that maybe, the initial business plan, right? So obviously you're starting a business, your goal is to hit a certain milestone. Maybe that should be already planned in there already. Maybe if I hit certain milestone, if I have achieved certain things, maybe then I should exit, or, that could be a conversation started there.
Yeah, I would say for sure when you have partners, the conversations are a little different, right? Because if you and I are partners, you and I will probably have a little bit more strategic conversations here and there, versus me just being a solopreneur and I'm on my own and I'm, in my kingdom. But 2 or 3 partners or families, when you have a dad who's trying to pass it to their kids, there has a tendency to be a little bit more conversation around that. But sure, if you can get a startup to design an exit, yes. Usually in the VC world, they do, but in most private small business, people just do it because they fall in love. They see a pain, or they see a skill set, or they see there's something passionate, and they just want to go in and start helping people. I mean, typically that's what we see.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, we're going into deeper conversation where it's unique for everyone. For listeners who have individual questions that want to reach out to you, what would be a best way to connect, John?
Best way is to email me at john, at exitconsultinggroup.com, or go to our website at exitconsultinggroup.com, and you'll see a link there. We also have newsletters, and we are always sending out information. I have a book. You can go to exitanswers.com, or you can go to our website. I try to make myself very much available and be happy to have any kind of, coaching, advisory type of process, because I just am passionate about trying to help small business owners like myself be more successful.
Thank you so much, John. I'll include all the information on the show notes. Enjoy our conversation today.
Thank you very much. Great time.
Thank you.